Hello everybody, thank you for visiting Eric Perkins Artist. I am your artist, Eric Perkins. I hope that everybody's holidays went well, that they were pleasant, and I hope that 2021 is treating you well so far. Now, since it is a new year, I thought I would start this video by introducing myself once again, and if you're new to the channel, this will be your first introduction. I am a truck driver. I make my living as a commercial driver, and I do art in my spare time, where I post my art to social media, and I put up high-resolution images on my Patreon for members who subscribe to my monthly service. Basically, it is my hope that at some point I will have enough subscribers that I can do Patreon full-time. Also, I sell my art on Etsy, and back in November, I believe it was, I sold a painting. The No Man's Sky painting was sold in November, and it went out to Colorado, if I remember correctly, and that was probably the highlight at the end of my year. Now, if this is your first time visiting the channel, I hope you'll choose to subscribe by the end of the video. And if it's not your first time, then welcome back. In this video, I will be sharing the process of painting all of the Noelvember paintings that I started back in November. The Christmas Nativity, the Snowman, Santa Claus, and snowy trees. And finally, I will be sharing some of the process of the Cabin in the Woods painting, which I created for my mom, who's also my longest running patron, as she joined my Patreon back when I started it in August of 2018. I do appreciate all of my patrons, but I want to give a very special shout out to my mom. Now, just before I begin today, just before I get to the art in my video, I need to return a favor. A friend of mine, Juan Ruiz, who runs an art channel here on YouTube, and he shares his art on Instagram and on ArtStation. He gave me a shout out back in, it was either November or December, and I need to return the favor to him. He just hit 500 subscribers a few weeks ago, and so he's doing really well. He does fantasy art and kind of gives tutorials and tips. So definitely, if you're interested in fantasy art, check him out. If you want to learn a little bit about creating better art, it's also worth watching. I'm going to show a short clip of his most recent video, and I've also put up a card with all of his social media on it, so you can find him on YouTube, Instagram, and ArtStation.
Well, I suppose this is my last video of 2020, since we're coming on to the new year. And I decided to do a centaur. I drew it, I sketched it off camera. I was just sort of inspired to do it then, and I didn't feel like putting up the camera and all that stuff with the tripod. But here I am actually adjusting one of the legs because it was too big. And so what I'm going to do here with this sketch is go and refine parts of it and add things to make it more to my liking. And I adjusted the belt, and I added another armor piece there. I feel like I needed it. And now I'm inking, doing some line work. I'm not going to do line work on the whole image, just on parts of it, because I want to have some movement in this piece. So, if you ever do fur, make sure you do little dashes that not attached to each other to make it look like fur. And here I'm doing her hair, and it's sort of solid. And you notice there's a gap there in the hair. You want little gaps and things like that because it shows movement. If I were to completely make that opaque, it would look stiff. It would look like a stiff thing attached to her hair, her head, like a branch or something. So if you want to make something look like it has movement when you're inking your artwork, it's good to have little sketchy areas of it, and parts where the lines are not completely opaque, where they're sort of segmented, because that shows movement, even though this is a static image. But see.
Having recently reached 500 subscribers on his YouTube channel, Juan is definitely doing something right, so check out his channel. And now we can get to the art that I created slowly from November into January. First up is my Christmas Nativity painting, which was the first painting of my project, and it was also the longest painting. The Christmas Nativity for 2020 was far more detailed and took a lot longer than I really expected it to, especially since it's only 6 inches by 6 inches. Now, one of the most, creative choices I made doing this nativity was that I made the baby Jesus the main light source of the image, and kind of made him like a little bit of like a glowy yellow glow character, like he is luminescent from within. I like it, but it's a bit different. So let me know in the comments whether you like that or not, if you think it was a mistake. Now, after finishing the Nativity, I jumped into the Snowman painting, and surprisingly, the Snowman did not take very long at all. So I think the Snowman ended up taking less than 2 hours and was pretty straightforward. I actually do like the blue and violet, well, the blue, violet, and white color palette that I went with. By keeping it really simple, I think that helped to reduce the need to like rework or like really think hard about all the values and the colors that went into it. But yeah, I really liked the Snowman. It was fairly quick. Then I jumped into the Santa painting. And I knew this was going to take a while when I started it because the Santa, of course, we're dealing with flesh tones and the red suit and the fur and the beard. So, yeah, it took a good bit longer than say the Snowman, but I still think it was probably shorter than the Christmas Nativity. And I was layering a lot of colors into the flesh tones and working on the reds, trying to get a good range of red values without using too different of a color or going into pink as much as I might have. So it had some challenges, but I like the way it turned out, and I really like all those different little hints of color in the flesh tone. the final painting of Noelvember was the snowy trees, which, if you watched, well, even here, you're going to see it started out, it was a couple in a living room with what was going to be a Christmas tree in the corner, and I didn't like it. It just didn't feel right. So I changed it up. I was going to go with trees outside, and I painted that over, and I didn't like it. And then I went looking at tutorials and other things, trying to figure out what was wrong. And I realized I needed some snowy trees. So, going off of a tutorial that I found on YouTube, I went ahead and just created a simple snowy trees painting. It's not the best that it could be, but it's pretty decent, especially for my first time actually painting the snowy tree effect. And I do like the way the colors are layered. I like that painterly thing where you get some weird colors kind of popping through every now and then. So I definitely like it, but yeah, it could definitely be better. Now that was the end of Noelvember, but I also had a painting that had been requested by my mom, which I mentioned that earlier. That I painted for her the cabin in the woods, and so she had given me a painting, or well, she gave me an image of a painting, and wanted to know if I could do it in my style and without some of the elements she didn't like. And of course, she had to tell me I wasn't allowed to put any monsters or demons or uh, warriors or sword or sorcerers or anything like that in there. Just a cabin in the woods. So it's a bit out of my usual genre, but I was like, I could do that. So I went ahead and put together this painting, and I changed things up a couple of times. I still wasn't really happy with it. I ended up uh, referencing a Bob Ross video, or at least I watched a Bob Ross video, one of his Joy of Painting videos, to get a few tips on basically working wet on wet and creating trees and different effects. And so I went ahead and applied some of those techniques to the painting to get it finished. And I like the way it came out, and I think that I might do some more landscape type stuff, trying basically, some like Bob Ross style paintings in the future. Um, Now, the scariest thing that did happen to me though was after I finished the painting, I applied my matte medium over it, which it dries clear, so it's also a varnish. And I had done this with the gloss on my fairy and on the Exodus paintings that are there on the wall. Um, but I hadn't done it with the matte. And when I applied the matte varnish over the top of the painting, it didn't want to dry. It stayed white for a very long time. And on some of my social media, I shared the image where it was only slightly translucent in some places, and it was still very much like I'd painted white over the thing. But it did eventually dry, and in fact, it's right there behind me, and you've obviously seen it being painted right here. So it did come out. It was good, but yeah, that was scary when the varnish took. I think it was about 2 to 3 hours to dry, and I ended up having to help it along a little bit with a hairdryer. Now, before I get into more paintings, I have 3 drawings that I need to do to finish out this sketchbook. One of them is going to be, I believe, a Kodiak bear or a grizzly bear. I will be doing a character, or maybe a couple of characters from Dragon Ball Z, and I'm going to do my own take on the Death Dealer, Frank Frazetta's Death Dealer. But the next painting that I do will be, it's going to be a master study of Simon Bisley's Death Dealer painting. So it's my hope that I'm able to recreate it as close to the original as possible, and that's my big goal right now. Or once I get through with these drawings, my big goal is going to be to try to recreate that painting, and I'm really looking forward to it, but also a little bit nervous because I've never actually tried to do a master painting study before. I do want to say thank you to all of my patrons and subscribers. The financial support of my patrons helps to keep my art supplies in stock, and eventually, if I get enough patrons, it may even be enough to allow me to do art full time. But even if you only follow me on YouTube or on Instagram, your social support, that means a lot to me as well. It helps to encourage me to keep going. Now, you can support my art habit by joining me on Patreon at patreon.com/EricNMIPerkins. So you can also buy prints of my art, the original artwork, or hire me on Fiverr. Links for all of those and my social media are in the video description. If you have enjoyed my content, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, share the video with your friends, and share your thoughts with me in the comments section. I love to read your comments. I am Eric Perkins, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.